Hey, what's up YouTube? My name's Archie Raysage and welcome to my extensive walkthrough on configuring and setting up your very own dual PC streaming rig. Now I'm going to be covering a lot in this video because as a small-time streamer I don't just cover one game. I like to mix things up. Whether it's switching from my PC games to my Xbox, streaming some retro stuff, like Crash Bandicoot or Skate, to then just pick up my guitar every now and then, have a bit of a jam, and then further down the line I want to do a bit of recording in Studio One, a bit of music production. So that's the goal. But you couldn't do any of this without a dual PC setup. It's kind of essential for what I'm wanting to do, and it's taken me a long time to understand, particularly Voicemeeter Potato, because if you can understand it and figure it out, it's a gem in utilizing this. The amount of functionality you can have with this is amazing. I gotta admit, I haven't been streaming that much recently, but I still use it every day. It's brilliant for what I'm running. It just works perfectly, and you can have a lot of fun just playing around with it and just using it for different things. But this is going to be specifically about streaming, obviously. It's going to be covering all those aspects of it, because the problem I've run into whilst learning this was there's a lot of content out there covering certain elements of this, mainly like Voicemeeter and OBS, but none of it was broad enough for what I'm wanting to use it for. Like not only Voicemeeter and OBS, but linking Voicemeeter with Studio One, then with OBS, and that's not even getting into getting my guitar hooked up with my audio interface and hearing it with good quality from my amp through headphones. So this is just going to be an integration of all those things. It's going to be a long video. There's going to be chapters in the video for you to skip certain segments that aren't relevant to you. I've never done this kind of thing before. I'm not going off a script, so I do apologise in advance if I'm waffling a bit or rambling. But I want it to be as raw and fresh as I can. I don't want to be editing too much. I just want to go with the flow, and if because of this I miss certain aspects of what I'm covering that you don't understand, feel free to comment, ask me questions, give me feedback, criticisms, whatever. It's all good stuff. But the main thing that led to this, me wanting to do this, was because I love Skyrim. I've got a lot of mods, close to 400 mods installed. A lot of them are texture mods, graphic mods, making it look like next gen kind of level, with an ENB as well. So, I mean, trying to stream that with OBS on one PC just wasn't working for me. It was crashing, it was struggling. Like Skyrim would crash or OBS would crash, and I'd run out of RAM, whatever. What you're seeing here in the pic, especially computer wise, it's not that high end, you know. This can be done without going all out on god tier specs, but splitting all the resources and power usage into two systems makes it like worthwhile and realistic to do, whilst trying to have like a good quality stream. I mean, even with all this, the laptop itself, what I'm streaming from, it's not that brilliant. So unfortunately, I'm having to rescale this to 720p. But hopefully it'll turn out all right, and it'll be of a good quality, because quality is definitely more important than quantity. Again, I'm rambling, I apologize. So I'm just gonna get into it. So what you're seeing here, this is what I'm gonna be talking about, like the guitar going into the amp, into the computer, into the main PC. These two screens are my main PC. These two is from the laptop, is what I'm streaming from. And so I'm gonna be going into a rig rundown, listing all my hardware and software used, a couple of images where it's relevant, and then a hardware map, almost like a spider diagram of how it's all interconnected physically with cables and stuff, where it's going, what it's plugged into. Then I'm going to be going into Voicemeeter. This is going to be the bulk of it, because Voicemeeter Potato is definitely the hardest thing to get down and understand. Because if you're like me, I can much easier understand something by visualizing it with diagrams, or by watching a YouTube video. So there's going to be a lot of color coding and diagrams in this slideshow. And if you like me, it'll be much easier to understand than just going on the Voicemeeter forums and threads, trying to wrap your head around the crazy jargon that people come out with. So I just want to start off by saying first that this is mainly going to be about configuring, understanding how stuff is laid out, how you can connect everything together, rather than how to install Voicemeeter. There's plenty of content out there and answers out there for doing that, installing Voicemeeter Potato, setting up a track, or OBS, how to create a source, you know. I'm going to assume that you know how to do that, and if you don't, I apologize that it's not covered in this video, but there's plenty, you can look that up quite easily. Since it's going to be, especially with Voicemeeter, it's going to be about mapping it out and visualizing it. I'm going to then go on to OBS, how Voicemeeter connects with OBS in terms of audio sources, inputs and outputs, but then also the video capture, and connecting the Elgato from my main PC here into my laptop here, and how to project the display, like the game, from this screen and feed it into OBS on here. You are going to need OBS running on both systems, but OBS on here is just going to be the function of projecting the source onto the Elgato virtual display, which can then be picked up by OBS on here, which is going to be your main kind of hub for OBS, like your comments, your chat, all that good stuff. Which leads me to Bitfocus Companion. I'm going to be briefly going over this, how I've configured it, because if you can't afford a Stream Deck, you do need some sort of alternative for using a dual PC setup. Because say you're playing a game, streaming a game, but you want to quickly change scene back to the lobby or whatever, and you have to change scene on OBS on both systems, and to do that simultaneously for better production, best way to do it is with a Stream Deck, or what I'm using, Bitfocus, which is free. It's incredible, the customization potential for it. And I'm going to be running over this quite briefly in terms of how I've set it up for me, mainly just for changing scenes, but there's all sorts of stuff you can do with it. And I'm going to link in the description all the resources you're going to need for installing this stuff, and other good walkthroughs on stuff that I haven't covered. So for example, the Bitfocus Companion, there's a great video out there by a guy who goes into this in great detail. You can even connect it to your phone, so you just hit a button on your phone and it does it all. I just use it for the simplicity of changing buttons on my laptop. Lots of stuff you can do with it though. So that kind of stuff I'm going to be linking in the description. And I'm going to touch on Studio One, about how you connect Voicemeeter to Studio One, and how my instruments connect to it all as well, and the basics of creating an empty track, the audio and inputs setup, the virtual insert, that kind of stuff. Basically just the stuff to get you started on Studio One. I don't know that much yet about in terms of editing music on Studio One, but for the basics of getting it set up and ready to just simply jam or have a play around with all the different effects and whatever, this should be enough to get you started. Then I'll just have a quick summary, final notes kind of thing, little pointers and reminders of things, and then to finish off the video I'll have a little demonstration of me just kind of tinkering with Voicemeeter on both systems and showing you the different combinations of stuff and how it all comes together. So that's the gist of it. I hope you like my little man cave I've got built up here. It's taken me a long time to get this set up. I love it. It's my little sanctuary, my haven. So yeah, here we go. So rig rundown. To start with, here's my specs of my main rig, which is the tower from the previous picture. I mean, as you can see, I've not gone crazy on this, but it's enough. You could probably get away with lower specs. This is just what I've accrued over time, slowly upgrading as I go. And then my streaming rig, my laptop. I do want to upgrade this because I'm seeing on here on OBS that the encoding and rendering is struggling. Well, hopefully I can get through the video. Then my monitors. So this is my main primary display where I have my games. It's 1080p, and it was on the picture earlier, it's the middle one with the webcams on, which incidentally is what this slideshow is on at the moment. Then to the right of that, on the far right, is my 4K monitor, and this was an amazing purchase because the resolution allows you to have so many apps going on. Like Voicemeeter Potato is huge, and this 4K monitor really helps make it as small as possible, so I can have lots of other stuff like Spotify, got my task manager, got my other OBS, and then I got Chrome for like YouTube or whatever. Then I got my main. This is wrong actually. Both of them are plugged into my main rig. But this is my main headset that I'm wearing now. It's my Bluetooth wireless, and that's plugged into my main, but it picks up everything from my streaming rig to my main rig, and I get everything channeled into here. And then I got, again, this is plugged into my main rig, but these are like my studio headphones. So mainly when I'm playing my guitar, I want to be able to hear the raw sound from the amp without the latency. So these headphones, excuse me, they're plugged into my audio interface and my amp with a splitter, so I can hear my guitar whilst hearing music that I'm playing through Spotify as well. I like to play a lot, so that was a good purchase. Streaming hardware, I mean, I guess Xbox falls into that. Got my mic, Blue Yeti. I might upgrade at some point to a XLR mic, to be honest. Webcam, I haven't put all my webcams on here, I've got 3 in total. This is the one that you're looking at now. And then the capture card, Elgato HD60, and then my Xbox capture card is a mirror box, which is all you need really for console capture. But the thing is, when I've got my Elgato, I can't have my mirror box plugged in at the same time. Elgato kind of takes over, so you got to be wary of that if you're wanting to stream Xbox and PC. You can't really switch capture cards midstream. You can go from Elgato to Mirrorbox, but going from Mirrorbox, if I'm streaming Xbox and then I want to go and play League or something, sometimes it'll work fine, but sometimes plugging it in, you'll have to restart my OBS so that you're not getting a black screen projection on the streaming OBS. So that's briefly on that. Then this is my music stuff, my instruments. That was what you saw in the picture, my beauty. And I got a cool V guitar axe. I don't play that enough. That's for drop C stuff. A little keyboard for having a play around on Studio One, which is fun. Get some synth sounds to it. And then my amp, DI box, which is this. So my amp here, guitar goes into here, and then my headphones go into here, and then this is an RCA output which goes into my DI box, which goes into the input here, and then the output then goes from here into my audio interface, which is plugged by USB into a computer, and then this is the headphone output which connects to the line 6 here. And so in my case, as you'll see on the next slide, there's certain weird cables that you need, combinations of cables to get it all hooked up. But I got it working, which was the main thing. It took me a long time to figure out. And the key thing here is click the 40-volt button to maximize your signal, because a lot of time Voicemeeter won't pick up if that is not pressed. This little red point here, it goes red when it's pressed in. Just gives it that little oomph. And that's my audio interface here, which is this. And then this is really useful. I mean, I can't really go without it now because I've got so many stuff that's hooked in by USB. I've got one in my main rig and one in my laptop. 7-port USB, very useful, and they're dead cheap as well. The software I use that I'm going to be talking about, Voicemeeter Potato, the main one, OBS Studio, Studio One, Bitfocus Companion, RTX Voice, which is it's used for my mic to go into Voicemeeter, rather than just the mic raw, like the mic going straight to Voicemeeter raw. Having the RTX Voice plugin is really useful for removing background noise. I'm going to briefly talk about other plugins you can use instead of RTX Voice, but I'll also go into why I've settled with RTX Voice. It's mainly because it doesn't conflict Voicemeeter with Studio One. I'll be touching on Discord and Spotify I can separate those channels on Voicemeeter. And then finally, Wallpaper Engine, if you're interested, that's what this cool little background is that you're seeing. There's all sorts of stuff you can have on Wallpaper Engine. Great tool. I'll quickly touch on the fact that if you want a cool background, stream a cool background, you want to run Wallpaper Engine but play it as a separate window rather than capturing the desktop display. Play it as a separate window and then capture that on OBS. It's a useful little tip. But that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the dual cell. So quick shout out to that wallpaper if you're wondering what that is and where I got that from. So here's the hardware map. It's looks a bit insane. There's a lot of cables. I mean, the cable management is pretty shocking behind these screens. Maybe I'll get around to zip tying it or making it tiny, but right now I don't care. As long as it's all connected and working, I'm hearing and seeing everything that I need to. So I'll start with the guitar. That goes in to the input that you saw with just a standard guitar lead into the line 6, which then uses this cable here, RCA at the back, to then go into the DI input at this end, but you need this little adapter here to plug into there to get the jack input. These, I've realised I need a lot of these. I just bought like a pack of 5 or 6 at once because they're cheap enough, but you can never run out of these, and they're very useful. So that's what that is. That's how you connect the line 6 to the DI box, or how I have. And then to connect the DI box to the audio interface, you need a standard lead turning into an XLR male, which then goes into the left input of the audio box. This here. Yeah. And that's in channel 1 of the audio box. So you can get cables, you can get adapters for this. Mine's just one cable, and lots of different weird combinations of cables you can get. And then for the audio box, that goes into the PC, just USB. But then also, as I touched on earlier, to hear my guitar and my music from a PC at once, I've got my second headset, my studio headphones, and that is connected with this. So the headphones go into this input here, which then splits. I need these adapters. One goes into the guitar amp, and the other goes into the back of the audio box. One thing that I've come across that's a bit annoying at the moment is, maybe it's a signal thing, but say I'm playing on guitar with a certain tone, like a distortion, randomly it'll cut out and I have to reset the preset with the dial, go back to the tone to hear it again. It's really weird. I think it might be a signal thing, so if anyone knows how to work around that, if you've got experience with line 6 before, it's a bit annoying. It's one of the reasons I'm not playing it that much, is because I'll be playing and 3 or 4 times through a song I'm having to just reach down and reset the tone, which is really annoying. Maybe I'll invest in some foot pedals or something to help that, but if I can remove that issue altogether, that'll help. Yeah, so that's that there. Then I've got this blue Yeti going in that you're hearing. That's into the main by USB. Display 1 with DVI, display 2 with DisplayPort, mouse and keyboard obviously USB, and then the webcam. This webcam here, I just use this for like if I'm zooming, like, or Skyping with someone, mainly like with my dad. If I'm just trying to catch up online with my dad, I'll use this webcam. Just a cheap little old thing. But if you if you want to stream like your webcam, it needs to be hooked into the streaming PC. I guess you could probably capture it on the main with the Elgato and send it over, but that just take up too much like too much resources, and it's unnecessary when you can just plug it straight into the streaming PC. So this is my main headset. This then goes into my Elgato, my third HDMI, my third display port, or HDMI or whatever, plugs into the Elgato on the input side, and then the USB-C port goes into the laptop. You can use a HDMI for the output to project it onto another display. A lot of videos will tell you to do this, but you don't actually need to. You don't necessarily have to use the HDMI output on the Elgato, and I have, and it works fine. I guess if you want to see what you're projecting, then you need, if you need another display or whatever. But because on OBS I'm just projecting the source onto the virtual display of Elgato, I don't need the output. So that was a great realization. Then my laptop, obviously peripherals, the laptop speaker. I do want to get some nice speakers where I'm not needing headphones, but for the time being, if I'm hearing stuff without using my headphones, I just send it through the laptop speaker, which is not brilliant quality, but is good enough for what I need at the moment. I guess I should have mentioned that in the audio monitors on the rig run now, but it's here. It's just self-explanatory, really. And then this third display is the big TV, which is connected to my Xbox, just HDMI, and then my Xbox connects to my mirror box on the input, and then the HDMI output goes into the TV, and then the USB goes into the laptop. And you want to make sure you're getting the inputs and outputs right for this thing, and with Elgato as well. Making sure you get input and output not mixed up is important, otherwise you're just not going to see anything. And also with the Xbox, make sure the HDMI is plugged into the 2 TV output. Fourth display, obviously, is my laptop screen, and then I got 2 webcams that I use for my stream. One is the one that you're seeing now, and the other is my math cam, which is on like a little arm that I bring over to look down. I want to improve that one. It's not brilliant quality, but yeah, I just thought I'd put it there. And then finally, for this to work, especially with Voicemeeter, you are going to need to have Ethernet connections on both systems. So I've highlighted that here. So I think that's that. Yep. So here we go. This is Voicemeeter on my main PC. I'm gonna run through what each of the labels is. Hopefully you understand the basics of how to set it out, a hardware out and an input hardware, but this is basically how I've mapped it. So all this here that you see, all this side are inputs, okay? These 5 here are physical, these 3 here are virtual. This side is all your your outputs, okay? These 5 being physical, that needs to be over here, that's wrong, and then these 3 are virtual, okay? When you run it for the first time, you need to have your main audio device as A1. For me, it's my audio interface, ASIO driver. If you can, having an ASIO driver is the best way to use it, to use Voicemeeter. there's WDM, MME, KS, ASIO, that's a tongue twister, is the best one you can use. And then going down, NME is like second best, which you're going to use for most of your other stuff. So for my headset, it's NME, for the mic, NME, all this stuff, NME. I won't go into too much detail on that. This is just what I've selected. Then my mic is a physical input, obviously, from the cable, which is the blue here, if you refer to the key. I've labelled that C1, okay? Then my guitar, which is plugged in from my audio box, also being a physical device. That I've patched that onto this channel here, using strips in the system settings, which I'll show you later. I'll show you how to do that. But my guitar comes out here, okay? I've got Spotify coming in here from my main PC. That is using a virtual cable. I'll talk about how to get that set up as well. That is through Voicemeeter, by getting the extra cables that you can get. Very useful if you want to separate. So quickly here, Windows, the default Windows audio, so YouTube, any games you're playing, will come in here, alright? Unless you change it. I've gone with VAIO. This is all the Windows sounds, okay? So normally Spotify would come through here, and Discord. But if you want to separate those into their own independent tracks, you need virtual cables. I'll show you how to do that on the Windows settings in a bit. That's that. And then this here is using VBAN, is all the stuff I'm getting from my laptop and my Xbox. It's coming up here. Which is useful. I don't stream this, because say I'm streaming my Xbox gameplay, the sound you'll hear will just be coming from that Voicemeeter. Here I just use it to monitor it and hear it myself, which is why this is highlighted here, A2, which is my headset. Then I got my Discord, which I'll send across and hear myself. Then I got my alerts, which I am just monitoring it. When an alert goes off in my stream, that'll be sent to the OBS from my streaming Voicemeeter. But I've just got it here so I can hear it and know it's going off. And then my stream mix. I don't often use this, but it is useful to have everything that OBS hears and viewers hear. I just have its own separate channel for that to all be sent back into here. But if say I'm playing a game or watching it, say I've got this playing, what you're hearing now is on YouTube, and that is coming through this here. If I then click this here, A2 on the stream mix, I'll hear it twice, okay? So if I want to just monitor what I'm hearing on my stream, I'll click that, but then I'm going to have to uncheck this. You know what I mean? Yeah. So here is what I'm physically hearing, okay? Or what's being physically listened to. So here is C3. C3 is this, and A1 here is the headset that I use when I'm playing my guitar. So when I'm playing my guitar, I'll check A1 on Spotify so I can hear that whilst playing my guitar, okay? And that will come up here. So that really is even though A1, my ASIO driver, is the primary output, you'll see here that I mostly never have any of it checked into A1. A2 is my main like listening output. But yeah, that's just that. So that's what's being listened to on the headset. This is my headset here. So that'll be Spotify, laptop Xbox stuff, Discord, my PC stuff here, and the alerts. That will all be coming through here. Okay. And then this is what I then send over to the laptop, okay, through VBAN. And that'll be the mic here. So this is B1, B2, B3. When you're checking all this, it's not that clear what B1, B2 and B3 is. It's basically these M3 here, okay? So this is VAIO input, and this one is VAIO output. Same with this is the aux, and this is the aux. This is VAIO3, and this is VAIO3. That's the input, that's the output, okay? So this is sent to the streaming Voicemeeter, okay? The mic on this channel, the guitar on this channel, and then what have I got here? I got my Discord and my PC here. I'll go into why Spotify's not checked later on. Basically, I've got another Spotify track on my streaming laptop, which is what gets streamed. I'll explain why later on. But all you need to know is I am not sending Spotify across. So right now you're hearing this, it's on YouTube. If I played Spotify, you won't be able to hear it because I've not got this checked. Okay. And then here, limiter is very useful. Just drag it down like this and it'll cap out. So if I shout on the mic, it won't exceed this limit. Same with guitar, very useful. And Discord, comms, very useful if someone's just being a bit loud on Discord or whatever. I don't want to just have that take over the stream, you know what I mean? With RTX, I don't really need this stuff. This is very useful. Positioning of, like, so dragging it around. So if I wanted to add more bass to my voice, I'll just drag it over here. Make it really or high pitch, high. For here, I have it. Discord, I have the voice up here, so it's less bassy. Okay. This is kind of like panning. So if you just right click these little black things, it'll switch from this to this, and then also to a modulation one, which is amazing to have fun with. I'll show you that in the demonstration. But this is panning, so I've brought Spotify forward a bit, okay? EQ, always have plenty of bass, it's got to be done. Don't really need to mess with this too much. I've chosen not to, but you can. Also labeling, make sure you label the channels. Just right click on where it says hardware input and you can type what you want. Very useful. It's not really explained very well, that feature. So when you have Voicemeeter running, you need Windows, you need the sound source to have your Voicemeeter input as the primary one, okay? Plenty of videos and stuff out there to do that. Loads of stuff actually. I've just briefly gone over it here. I'm not going to show you on this. As I said before, some things I'm just not going to cover, but I've given you a little guide here how to do it. A2 is my default communications device, and then the VAIO is my default, which is labeled purple for Windows. Okay. So this is the streaming one, and this is grayed out because I don't use it, even though I've got the EQ. I think I've switched around with it before, but I don't use this, which is why I've just right-clicked on the name thing and just hit space, and then it just has it blank. You don't need to have, if you're not using the channel, you can just do that and make it blank, which is quite useful. So I'll start with the mic. The mic is coming in through VBAN from the main, and then it is being sent to OBS here. All the yellow is what's being picked up to OBS. The green is what's being sent back to my main computer, and then this is what comes out the laptop speaker. So I'll have, say I'm watching something or listening to something and I don't fancy having my headphones in, I'm just doing something like tidying up or whatever, I'll just play it through my laptop speaker. So it's useful for that, which is what A1 is here. A1 is the laptop. You don't really need to have all, even though these are highlighted. I'll explain why. It's because of VBAN. But A1 is the only one I use. If I was to get some speakers, I'd plug them into my laptop and have it as A1. Okay. C2 is the guitar. It's coming in. See here, these aren't checked because I'm not monitoring them. I'm not sending it back to my main PC because I'll just get a feedback loop. It's only channeled in here to then send to OBS, okay? Just as with the mic, same with the guitar. Okay? This is Spotify, which is a virtual cable, the stream one, and this gets sent. A3 is going back to my main, and it goes into here, laptop Xbox. So say I'm streaming and I'm listening to music, I'll use this. Because A5 is my stream mix here, which I don't use that much, but it's there, it's useful to have. I might be switching back a lot here. So A3 is the laptop Xbox monitoring. Yeah. Alerts, that's going to OBS, and it is also going to my alert channel here and to my stream mix. All the A5 is just stream mix, so I've got a lot of stuff here checked for stream mix because it's the stream mix channel here captures everything except my mic, so I'm not hearing myself, but I can easily send that through as well. Or if you want to hear yourself just to check the mic quality, just check A2 here and I'll hear myself. Okay. B3 is my stream mix. So that's my mic. I'll go into my OBS audio sources in a bit. But that's my mic one, that's my guitar one, and that's my stream mix one, like games, the alerts, the Discord stuff, the Xbox stuff. If I'm playing stuff on YouTube or other streams or whatever, you know, that will go onto B3. And I got my laptop, B3 again, stream mix, laptop Xbox channel, and then my laptop speaker. Same again for here, except, yeah, I haven't got that checked because I don't want that going into here. You'll see this is red here because right now I don't have my Xbox capture card plugged in, so even though I've got a channel for it, it can't detect it right now because the capture card's not plugged in. But as soon as I plug it in and reselect the input digital interface, if I recheck that, that'll come up and I'll hear all that. But it's only red now because you can't have two capture cards in at once, and that's why I've got it muted. Don't need to, but like here, guitar's muted. Yeah, so here you'll see I've not got any EQ, and that's because I've got EQ here. You don't want to stack EQ and have too much bass or treble or whatever, so you want to be wary of that. I think I've covered everything. Again, here VAIO is the default on the laptop, which is this one here. Yeah, I mean, it's a visual. I don't really have to say that much here because it's just showing it, you know. And yeah, I'm trying to think. Virtual cables here. So that's my virtual cable going into OBS. So the alerts come up here. I'll go into this more. Basically, when I'm streaming, if I'm streaming League and I'm playing music, I don't want that to come under, I don't want that to be muted on the VODs due to like copyright or whatever. So I've got my own separate Spotify channel that goes into OBS, and it goes in via here, so that when it's recording the VODs, the music doesn't play. You can't hear the music. So there's no issues on that from there. And you need a separate channel on OBS, and that's how I've done it here. But if I'm not streaming and I'm just listening to music, I'll just have Spotify playing through here. I think that's everything. I'll just quickly go over here. So C6 and 8 is my laptop speaker. Laptop is streamdecks. Okay. So here, if I'm playing something like YouTube or whatever on here, on the main, then if I want to hear it through my speaker, I'll just check this, because that's where that's coming into. Same with games. If I'm playing League and I don't fancy having headphones in, I can play the audio through the laptop, which is the crazy thing about Voicemeeter. It's amazing how you can split stuff up. Like I'll quickly give you an example. So my girlfriend, she's got two little boys as cousins, and they love coming around here, little gamer nerds. One's 8, one's 13, or whatever. And they just love hanging out in here. We'll just be gaming, chilling. They'll be playing like Roblox and stuff. So they'll be playing on this main PC, and they'll be having like some sort of YouTube game soundtrack playing on here as well, but they don't want to have headphones in. So I'll send that through to the laptop to play out the speaker, right? And then I don't want to just be sat there watching them play games. I'll just be on the laptop watching like a YouTube, like watching like lolly sports, like some pro league games or some stuff like that, you know, watching podcasts, that kind of thing. So I'll have my headset on, so what's being played on the laptop will be sent to my main, which is what my headphones listen to. It's crazy how you can cross wire stuff. It's awesome. And I guess theoretically I could like have, if the other kid wanted to play the Xbox, they could play the Xbox whilst that's all going in with my other headset separate. So you can separate it all. It's amazing. So then this is what's been sent back to the main PC. 3, stream Spotify. For monitoring, obviously, if I'm streaming, playing music, I want to be able to hear it. So that's what's going back. 5, the Xbox. 6, the laptop. C4 alerts. And then, so this is A3, which is going into here through VBAN. Oops. This is A4, And this is A5 stream mix. Again, it's all going to stream mix. So that's Spotify, alerts, Xbox, laptop, and stream mix. So this is here labeled stream mix because that's the stream mix that gets sent to OBS. Okay. But if I want to monitor that and test the volume levels of it all, I've sent it back to my main so I can listen to it as well and check how it all sounds. So yeah, they are named the same. Yeah. This is basically just a monitor for everything. And then this one is what gets sent to OBS. Yeah, moving on. So here we have VBAN. This is how you connect them all together. So the green is my main PC, the red is my laptop. You're going to need Ethernet for this to work properly, otherwise these boxes here are going to be filled with red all the time and you're going to have stuttering. So you need to make, oh shit, I should have probably blanked out my IP address, but oh well. So you want to match the IP address with, so the main IP address goes in the stream incoming. Okay, so incoming streams. So this is the main PC, right? I'll do each window at a time. So the main PC, and the incoming streams is coming from the stream PC, red, which is the IP address here. This is the IP address of the laptop, okay? And then this is the IP address of the main. So you want to make a note of your IP addresses because you just right click on here, it'll come up, you just got to type it in. Perfect. Make sure your labels are consistent. And then this is, yeah, so this is the incoming streams. And then this here is what I send it to in Voicemeeter. So I've got my Xbox stream coming in, my Xbox source, that comes in, and then I put that in to channel 4. Okay, C4. OBS monitor, it's called OBS monitor here, it's the main stream mix. That's virtual 3, which is VAIO3 or C8. Okay, same with alerts, virtual 2. And then laptop and Spotify, I've got them, they're coming from, so here, laptop Xbox, that's receiving the laptop, the Xbox, and the Spotify stream. Okay, this, and this. Okay, those 3 things are going into that one channel, simply because I don't have enough. Like, as hard as it is to understand, even Potato doesn't give me enough channels, but it's perfect. I'm happy. And you can just merge them into one channel. So that's what I'm doing here. And then this is the outgoing streams from my main. Okay, the mic, B1, stream mix is other way around. It's like upside down or whatever, it doesn't matter. B2 guitar, B3 stream mix. And that's what's being sent out to my laptop. So to here, this is the incoming stream, this is this stuff, it's being sent, and that's this stuff here. Okay, this is grayed out because I don't use it. I was trying to figure it out and it's still on, but it's not being sent to anything, it's redundant, so ignore that. These are the 3 streams I'm using. Okay, so this is the streams, let's see, B3, yeah, B3 goes into here, comes out here, and then is sent to this. It's all labeled stream mix, but there's like 3 different stream mixes. But all you need to know is, so for example, the YouTube Skyrim like soundtrack that you're hearing now, that's on YouTube, that's being allocated to stream mix here on my main. It's being sent to stream mix on here, which I've then allocated to virtual input 3 C7. Oh no, that's wrong. C8, that should be C8. Okay, apologies. C8. It says C7, but it's C8, which is then being sent to OBS. Okay, so that's the process that it goes through. Same with the mic. The mic is coming in. So the mic is going to B1, it's going to here, it's being channeled to here, which is then being sent into OBS. And you can see that with VBAN as well. Okay, B1 to here, which is then going into C1 on stream Voicemeeter, which is then being sent to OBS. Same with guitar. And then the outgoing streams, which is this stuff here, is here. So the great thing about VBAN is you can basically have more outputs as virtual. So all these physical inputs you can turn into a virtual output using VBAN. So even though I don't have 4 physical outputs that I'm using, I've just got the laptop speaker. I can just have these 3 as virtual buses and virtual. Imagine it like an invisible cable. So I've got 4 hardware outputs, but only one of them is actually physical. 3 of them are virtual. Does that make sense? I hope it does. Again, yeah. You want all this stuff to be consistent. I've gone with 48 kilohertz. Yeah, just keep it consistent. Main rig, stream rig. There you go. And make sure you save the presets. Can be useful if stuff goes wrong. I don't think I've ever had to reload a preset, but it's useful to do as a backup. So this is virtual cables. So I'll just go through the list here. These are the cables, virtual cables. If you've downloaded a virtual cable through Voicemeeter and you've seen this is what I'm talking about, these things. Okay, there's 5 that you can get in total. The first one's free, and then the next 4 come in 2 packs of 2. Okay, A and B, and then C and D. And it's free to use Voicemeeter, but it's like a donation thing where donation's optional, but to get these virtual cables you need to donate a minimum of £5. You can donate as much as you want, depending on how well off you are financially. But I mean, I love this. If I could, I would donate more. We just need £5 for each. And I think, I'm not 100% certain on this, but I think if say I've downloaded it onto my main PC, if I've donated and downloaded the cables, I'm not 100% sure on this, but I think you can just copy them onto the stream laptop. You can use them twice. Might be wrong, but I feel like I did that. I remember it was a while ago. And when you install them, you need to restart the PC. So lots of videos on how to use virtual cables to then separate Spotify and Discord. Plenty of content on that. I've just quickly gone over the process for doing that. So for alerts, you need to have for alerts. So if you go on sound settings, advanced sound options, and then scroll all the way to the bottom, app volume and device preferences. Okay, and then you need to click on the program you go to the program that you're wanting to separate, and then just change the output, okay? And that means, so I'll use alerts, right? So if I want to have an alerts channel on Voicemeeter, I need to tell Windows to send the OBS sounds through this cable instead of through Windows, and then you just highlight Voicemeeter here. You just make sure that cable is the hardware input. Spotify is weird because for it to appear on the device preferences, it needs to be playing some music, like some audio needs to be coming out from it for it to appear. And then, so that's Spotify and alerts. It's with the program itself. Same with Discord, I think. Hang on. No, Discord, you don't have to use, I don't think you have to use Windows settings. Just go on Discord, the user, yeah, it's here, user settings, voice and video output, and then that virtual cable you use it. Xbox game bar, if you want to stream Xbox or whatever, you need to start a party and go into party options. To get your game bar up on PC, it's just Windows key and G, unless it's disabled. But for me, I just hit Windows and G and the Xbox game bar comes up. And you can use it even if you're playing on your Xbox, which is pretty cool. So start a party, party options, party audio, and then output. And then, so that's the comms, Discord, Xbox. For some reason, you can't do that with League. League has to be Windows. I can't, on here, annoyingly, I can't. So here, this comms has anything coming from Zoom, anything coming from Discord and Xbox game bar. Okay. But for some annoying reason, I can't send League voice chat here. I think it's just the client interface on League. But yeah. Maybe there is a way. If there is a way, then feel free to leave a comment. It's one of the things I don't know, and you can help me with. So the main rig is the comms, like here, what I've said. And here I'm using the free virtual cable for the comms channel. The Spotify channel on my main PC is virtual cable A, and then virtual cable B is being used for alerts on my streaming PC for OBS. And then streaming, this is where it gets weird for Spotify on my streaming laptop. I need to use two virtual cables to separate the audio for OBS. So I need to separate it from my Voicemeeter, but then I need to separate it again from my OBS. So I've used virtual cable D for it to be placed into Voicemeeter, and then C is used to connect Spotify from Voicemeeter to OBS as a separate source for voice recording. I'm saying all this stuff and then I'm reading it and I'm like, oh yeah, I said that. So that's that. Here we have system settings. So this is for the music stuff for guitar in Studio One. But I'll briefly, most of this stuff will come up anyway, and you can see. So as I said earlier, you need this sample rate to be consistent throughout. I think to do that, if it's not already set like that, you do it on the sound settings on Windows, or on the Voicemeeter, or on the VB control panel. This is the more technical stuff that I don't cover as in depth as other YouTube videos. So I'm briefly going over this. I don't know that much technical stuff about this. I just know that it needs to be consistent, and the lower the better on here. And I've got them the same here. It sets at default. You're only really going to use WDM or ASIO, and in some cases MME. But the lower you have them, the less latency, but also the more processing power it takes. I think I've got it that way around. I think I've got it the right way around, yeah. So here, I'll just run through these. This is the mic. This isn't being used as a physical cable, but it's what my guitar's being sent to. But that's here. No, here, which I'll quickly touch on in a sec. Here is the cable for Spotify on the main PC, and here's the cable for Discord, the comps. Okay. This is the main. This is A1. Okay. The audio interface, and this is my headset. And this is where it gets really useful to know. So, to send my guitar audio into Voicemeeter, you need to patch these inputs into virtual strips. Okay? And all you need to do is just left click on these little squares once. So if I click it once, then it comes up with 1. If I click it again, it comes up with 2. But because this is 1 on here, I'm plugging my guitar into here, so both these need to be 1. And because it's into means it's channel 2, which if you remember is here. This is into. But the 1 is referring to this input here. And then this is what you need for Studio One, is to patch the inserts. Okay, so if I want to hear this stuff in Studio One, I need to send it across. I'll be showing you like where it's going to in Studio One. But basically, these two here is my mic, these two here is the guitar, these two is Spotify, these two are alerts, these two is the laptop Xbox, these two are the PC, the main PC Windows, and then this, no, hang on. C4 is laptop Xbox, C5 is comms, C6 is Windows, C7 is alerts, sorry, not C4, C7 is alerts, and C8 is the OBS monitor, the stream monitor. But for recording purposes as well, maybe when I'm streaming I'll have to highlight them all so I'm hearing everything. But say if I'm doing a recording session on Studio One and I'm streaming it, and an alert goes off, I will only hear that alert if I highlight these. So I think what I'm gonna have to do, I haven't done a jam stream for a long time. So for this tutorial, these are only going to be highlighted: mic, guitar, Spotify, and main, which is useful. Say I'm jamming, I'm not streaming, but I'm jamming, right? Then I'm playing to music. Then if I want some cool background ambience or whatever, I can play it on YouTube and hear that as well. I'll touch on how this goes into Studio One later on. Excuse me. So now we're on to OBS. And again, I'm not gonna tell you all about output settings, bitrate, rendering, encoding, all that stuff. The only stuff I'm going to be talking about in OBS is the video capture from the capture card and the audio sources from Voicemeeter. So, as I said before, you need to run OBS on both rigs. You capture the game you're playing, or like the app. Say if I've got well, I'll show you later on in the demo, but basically I've captured Voicemeeter window on the main PC, sent it across to here to then be picked up into OBS, and then I'm capturing that Voicemeeter as well. So in the demo, I'll be showing them both working together, and we'll be tinkering around with it and showing you what's what in there. That's what I mean by app. You could capture anything, like a YouTube video, and show that. Or I could just play it on my laptop and have that captured as a window. So the OBS on the main PC doesn't do a lot. So say I'm playing League. On my League scene, the only thing I'm using OBS on this PC for is to capture the game. Everything else, all my overlays and all that stuff is set up on my stream. The only source on my main PC is the game capture, which is then being sent on my Elgato. Same with an app or a window. Another example is in the client. When I'm in between League games, I've got the client on, got the client up, I'll just capture the window and then send that across so it can be seen. Okay. You want to make sure you project the source onto the virtual Elgato display. So with my Elgato card plugged in, physically I've only got 2 displays, but theoretically, like imagine like in maths you get an imaginary number. It's the same thing with Elgato. That creates its own little invisible display. So I might have 4 screens here, but with my Elgato plugged in, I've got 5 displays. And it's that 5th virtual one that you are projecting as a window. And then that's what you are capturing on the OBS stream here as a video capture device. Yeah, so just capture the game as either a game capture or a window or display capture on the main OBS. Project that, right click, and then projector view, and it creates its own little window, and then that is captured on OBS on here as a video capture device. Probably should have created a little diagram to explain that. So here I stream 720, so I just make sure there's no point having the resolution set to 1080 if the stream is just scaled down to 720 anyway, so it's just unnecessary power and unnecessary rendering. So you just want to match the video properties that your Elgato is capturing, match that to your stream output settings. This is important. So async here is a filter. So say I'm playing, I'll just go back to League again. Say I'm playing a game of League, right? The video that's being captured will be out of sync with the audio that is being sent from Voicemeeter. Like, it's like an equivalent to latency. There'll just be delays and they'll be out of sync. So once you've got all this set up, I'll go into the audio side of things in the next slide, but there's going to be a lot of trial and error, making sure everything is in sync. So without me doing this, I have to do this with my game capture here, not necessarily with a window like the client, like the League client, but for main stuff like a game capture, like from playing League or Skyrim, you're gonna have to add a little async delay so everything syncs up. This might not be right for your system, but this is what's worked for me. Maybe it'll be close, maybe it'll be around here for you, I'm not sure. I think the network might have something to do with it. You can, what's that thing that you can use? There's something you can use which makes it network, makes it run through the network, rather than using an Elgato. Can't remember the name of it, but it'll take you probably need like fiber optic to use that, I imagine. My network's not amazing. My upload and download speed's not brilliant. So troubleshooting, this is going back to what I said before about if you're switching from console to PC stream like during the stream, it might be. So right, I'll give you an example. I'm streaming Crash Bandicoot right on my Xbox, and then I'll have enough of that, and I'll want to play some League or Scat. I'll have to unplug this Xbox capture card, the mirror box, and plug in the Elgato. And most of the time, it'll come up with a black screen on the OBS on the stream PC. So even though the Elgato is being projected, so even though League is being projected from my main PC, it's got its own little window, the stream OBS won't like be capturing it. It won't be picking it up. A lot of the time, that can just be fixed by just deactivating and activating it. Sometimes, annoyingly, you'll have to restart OBS on the system. But what I found is switching from Elgato to Mirrorbox is fine. So if I'm playing Skyrim or League, and I just fancy playing a bit of Skate or Crash Bandicoot or whatever, doing it that way around is fine. So maybe just plan your streams accordingly. Sometimes it works, but whether you want to risk it or not, it's up to you. But that is the problem with Elgato. I think there is a way you can do it by adding a new HDMI adapter to the laptop. I'm not sure. Or there is the Elgato HD Pro version or whatever that allows you to do it. But the one I've got, it takes full control and priority, so I can't plug in the mirror box as well as the Elgato, unfortunately. So this is the audio side of OBS, and this is all the Voicemeeter stuff. So this is Elgato and Mirrorbox. This is Voicemeeter. So I'll start from the guitar, which is my B2 Voicemeeter aux output, and that is an audio input. My mic is B1 VAIO output, and it is also an audio input. The stream mix, my games, YouTube videos, stuff like that, that is audio input, and it is B3 VAIO. And this is referring to my stream voice meter. So here, B1, B2, B3. I think it's the same here, but this is referring to my stream rate voice meter. And then this is where it gets weird, is the music. So, as I said earlier, if I want to stream music, but I don't want to be pulled up on copyright stuff, you've got to record it as a separate track and turn it off when it's being recorded by VOD. So, let me think. Channel 2 is what the VOD records. And I have unchecked the music. Okay? It's got all this other random stuff here, like when you add like WebM files and stuff like that, everything has its own audio aspect of it, which is annoying. I can't get rid of that. You can hide it on here, but on the advanced section, I just wish I could remove that. But these are the four that I'm using: guitar, mic, music, stream mix. And I'm not monitoring them because I'm just monitoring them on Voicemeeter. But this is where the latency stuff comes in. You gotta have it all synced up. Otherwise, you'll see my mouth moving and the webcam will be out of sync and delay. Or I'm playing guitar and that'll be out of sync. Or like I'm headbanging to a song and that's all out of sync. Or the game itself, you know. And this is a lot of trial and error. Just hit record on OBS and just do some mic checks, mic tests, do some claps, headbang to music, log it, like pop up, like boot up League, and just like spam flash or whatever, get your abilities going, you know, do whatever you need just to make sure you adjust for the latency. And this is a reason why I wanted to have a separate headset for listening to my guitar. So if I listen to my guitar through here by checking this, there's a massive latency delay because of how long it takes for the signal to get from my guitar pickups through my amp, through the DI box, through and into the audio interface. Okay? But by just listening to it through my other headset, I avoid that latency. But then I've got to account for the latency that you're going to receive by listening to this. So you're listening to this when I'm playing my guitar. This is what you're listening to, but I'm listening to this from my amp. Okay, I'm not listening to that, but I got to make sure it's all synced up, and that is where this comes in. These numbers here, and it's just a case of trial and error, but you'll get there. And then this is Spotify. So this is going Spotify, and let me think. This is the input. So this is the virtual cable, which is being allocated to Voicemeeter. And then the output is going to OBS as this separate track. And that is the only way you can do it. For some annoying reason, when you choose in your sources on OBS, the virtual cables, it's weird. It needs to be as an output. So this is how I managed to do it with virtual cables and separating, because you can only have 3 Voicemeeter inputs: the VAIO, the AUX, and the VAIO3. Okay. To get a 4th one, I've had to use a virtual cable. A lot of you probably won't have this issue, but for me, because I'm having my guitar as a separate track, I need 4. A lot of you will probably just have mic, music, and stream mix. but that's how I've managed to get around it. That's the OBS stuff. Now I'm going to quickly touch on Bitfocus. This is like the Stream Deck alternative. That I've used. It's free. It's amazing. And you can see there's so many customization you can do. Again, I'm not going to tell you how to install it. I'm going to link you where to download it. I'll link you to, I'll put a link in the description of a good Bitfocus walkthrough that I used, that goes into way more depth and like functionality that you can utilize. But you'll run it. You run Bitfocus, and this window will come up. You need to select what network you're using. For me, it's the Ethernet. That'll be the best one. Then you hit launch, and then this window will stay up. Okay, it'll open up its own little web browser. It'll open up a web browser and have its own it'll be operating from the internet. But this window won't go away. Don't close it, because that'll shut it all down. Just simply hit hide, and this window will go away. But it needs to exist, not be closed, for Bitfocus to run. Then you set up the instances. These are the instances here that I've got. I'm only using it for OBS on my main rig and OBS on my stream rig. And the instances is where you allocate network ports, IP stuff. That'll all be like relevant to what you use and what you're going to use it for. I use it just for operating OBS on my laptop and OBS on my PC. Okay, so I've got two separate instances. And then this is a button, my Stream Jam button. So I have a scene called Stream Jam. When I'm playing my guitar, I'll hit Stream Jam, and it'll change scene on both my main OBS and my stream OBS. And you need to make sure here on options you collect. Well, the scene is called Music Jam. On here I've named it Stream Jam. It's not consistent, but these are what the scenes are. So you click on the drop down, and it'll update whenever you add a scene on OBS. This drop down will update with the scenes that you've added, so you can select them. All sorts of customization you can do, colors, fonts, stuff like that. And then you can. This is the emulator that you load up, and I just have this on my laptop. But you can set it up on your phone or tablet or whatever. It's pretty cool. I've not done that. I just have it on my laptop. I'm afraid that's the only detail I'm going to go into on Bitfocus, because that's all I know about it, really. I followed this walkthrough that I watched and just set it up. So I'm not going to go into more detail, because off the top of my head I can't. So I'll just link you a more in-depth video. I'm only mentioning it because it is a really good way to use OBS on a dual PC setup when you're changing scenes. Instead of changing scene on the PC, then changing scene manually on the laptop. It's just messy, and just, it's just a mess. So just allocating them to these buttons on this program is so useful. It's a game changer. But yeah, that's all I'm going to talk about for Bitfocus. Now we're going on to Studio One. Again, lots of videos how to set up Studio One, create a song. This is going to be Voicemeeter specific. you'll load up Studio One. I haven't used any other doors. I just know Studio One, and even that is a limited amount of knowledge. So I can only help you with setting up a song for Studio One with Voicemeeter, but there'll be lots of other videos out there. Studio One or PreSonus have their own channel, which is it basically shows you all you need to know. The only thing I've found with it is that it doesn't show you this bit. It'll show you all the Studio One stuff like editing tools and tricks and stuff. I'm only going to go into how to configure Studio One with Voicemeeter, get them working together to then start an empty song, and then this is just laying the groundwork for that. So you'll go into the main, you'll load up Studio One, and then it'll come up with like open files. It'll come up with your profile, that kind of thing. At the top right, if you go on song, I'll show you here. This will be on the main screen. Song is this bit. Start takes you to the start page where you configure audio device. So you want to click on configure audio device. I should have had it on here. I apologize. It's right there in front of you though, and it'll take you to here. The audio device I'm using is Voicemeeter Potato Insert Virtual. I can use my audio box as this, but it'll get rid of everything I'm using, and it'll just, you don't want to do that. For a lot of people, they do use their audio interface, but for me, I'm using the virtual Voicemeeter interface as my audio device. Then you want to get this matching with what the Voicemeeter is, and then you click on song setup, and that'll take you to this, where you then, this is where this bit comes in. All these patch inserts, okay? C1, C2, C3, C6, okay? That's what I'm using. Mic, guitar, Spotify, and then PC. And that's what I allocate here, okay? C1, C2, C3, leave a little gap because this would be, let me think, mic, guitar, Spotify, laptop, Xbox, comms, PC, alerts, no. All this is the, all just for C6, okay? So C7 alerts, I would check here. I don't know what all this does really, I just know that left and right is what you need. I think this might be the VBAN stuff. So here, the VAIO, the input is this, and then I think the virtual output from VAIO, which is my B1, which is my mic going to my laptop, that would be here. But I'll leave that. This is alerts, and then this is left right here. This is my main stream mix monitor, C8. Most of the time you're just going to add stereo, so this will be blank except for the main, then you add whatever you want to add. Most of the time it'll just be add stereo, and then rename it how you want. I think you can change the color or whatever, and then if you hit make this your default, then every time you create a new song, this is what, this input output we configured like this. So you only really have to do this once, and then click on outputs, do the same for outputs. So, quick notes. Right, so I'll go back to RTX Voice here. So I'm using NVIDIA RTX Voice as my mic plugin to remove background noise and make the mic quality better. If I didn't use that and just had the Blue Yeti going straight into my Voicemeeter, you'd be hearing all sorts of background noise, like my dog when he barks, or my fish tank back there that's like bubbling away. So I use RTX Voice to cut all that stuff out. In the past, I've tried using Cantabile for this, but the way Cantabile works is it also takes up a patch. It also uses this, so I wouldn't be able to. If I have Cantabile running, that takes priority of Voicemeeter, which then means that this doesn't appear when I am selecting my audio device. Right? But RTX Voice doesn't like prioritize it in that way. It's just its own separate. It just creates its own individual input, physical, like hardware input for Voicemeeter, which is amazing. I found that out like a month ago. For a while I was using Cantabile. It's this shit, to be honest. I didn't like it. You can like subtract. It's like a subtract thing, but it'd make it all sound robotic and rubbish. And yeah, RTX Voice is definitely better. Cool thing about Cantabile though is you can make your voice like a lower octave or like a higher octave sound. Like if you want to make it funny, or like I imagine like when you're recording like singing or vocals or whatever, like you'd be able to do pitch effects for that. But I imagine in Studio One it's got that kind of stuff anyway. So for me, RTX Voice, don't need Cantabile. So that's basically what this addresses. So here, this will all be blank when you create a new song. I've set this up just to the basics. So create a new song on Studio One, and whenever you're in Studio One, that will take the lead over Voicemeeter. Okay. So if I'm playing Spotify, for example, and I don't have this track, so I create an empty song, these inputs will show all the time, and so are the outputs, but I've not got them highlighted. Okay. If I want to hear Spotify whilst in Studio One, I have to create a Spotify track. Input, output Spotify, and you got to listen to it. Okay. Then I'll be able to hear it. And then when you click out of Studio One, say if I'm listening, say if I'm like doing some recording and I'm wanting some cool effects, right? Like some thundering sounds, I'll go on YouTube, like some storm at sea or whatever. I'll play that video. And then when that video is playing, Voicemeeter will be like using the audio, like displaying the audio, and I'll be listening to it through Voicemeeter. And if I click on Studio One, if it's YouTube, then I'll be using C6 here. C3 is Spotify because that's the channel that Spotify is on Voicemeeter. But to hear that stuff, you need to create a track. Okay? And there's loads of stuff on YouTube about how to do the basic stuff like that. But this is what you want to see in my case. And then if you click on IO here, that'll take you to this. To add a new track. I think it's plus here or I just right click, add new track. I'm pretty sure that there's all sorts of keyboard shortcuts and stuff, but you'll make sure you hit the speaker to listen. Okay. That is pretty much it. All I've got now is some final notes to summarize. So when you're setting all this up, in my case in particular, visualizing it makes it so much easier to grasp and understand. Diagrams, just get out a piece of paper and just map out how you want everything to connect. Not just with Voicemeeter, but with my hardware, like that hardware map that I did earlier. That really helped me to just figure out how to get everything hooked up. And because I was having problems for a long time, like getting that guitar amp plugged into my audio interface to be picked up by Voicemeeter. And then I realised, I need a DI box in between it. So yeah, just map it out, map everything out, particularly with Voicemeeter. I probably should have done it with the OBS stuff, the Elgato stuff. But yeah, what I found, a lot of online stuff, this is only relevant to me. A lot of you might be coming into this video and thinking, I don't need to use my Jules PC or Voicemeeter for all of this stuff at once. For me, I wanted to get it all integrated together, and for me, a lot of the big kind of video walkthroughs didn't cover enough for me. It was like, oh, okay, you've shown me how to connect Voicemeeter with Studio One, but then how do I then get that to connect with OBS, or all that kind of stuff. Yeah, Voicemeeter potato all the way. I can't go back. It's worth investing the time in. If you on Voicemeeter Banana and you're struggling for like allocating stuff, so you've run out of channels or whatever, potato, mate, just potato. It's so good, and it's cheap for the donations to get the virtual cables. A lot of time you might not need the virtual cables. Voicemeeter potato is the way forward. There is a lot of stuff on it that I don't really understand or use, like this area here. I don't really understand this. I've used this sometimes, like here, like the gates and the compression. RTX Voice does a lot of that, and the limiter here is great for my guitar and my mic, and yeah, but I don't use that. That stuff and that stuff, and this is like recording stuff, but I use OBS and Studio One for that, so I don't need that. So yeah, it's worth just putting the time in. Seriously, go for it, and just have fun experimenting. I've been streaming. I haven't streamed that much these days in this last couple of months, just because I'm busy like working, and when I'm at home I just want to chill, watch stuff, and play games at a chill pace. So I've not been streaming that much. I do want to do it more. Maybe put together some sort of routine schedule and stick to it. But even when you're not streaming, it's just fun to play around with and use it in like all the different ways you can kind of cross-link everything together. It's epic. Like I say, when the girlfriend's cousins come round, and I've got like 4 screens and like 3 3 people can just use them fine and have their own little audio coming out and watching their own little things, playing their own little game, and got my Xbox on as well. It's great for that. Yeah, latency and async, it's just a case of trial and error, getting it all synced up. Unfortunately, I can't give you the right number that will work for you in terms of millisecond. It's just what works for you depending on your network and what you're using, whether it's Elgato or that network. What is it? Someone please comment saying, is it NDI or DP? Not DPI. Might be NDI. I don't know. But yeah. RTX voice for my mic plugin. I don't use Cantabile anymore. Don't need it. Just obviously, if you've not got NVIDIA graphics card, maybe there's other ones, but for NVIDIA, RTX voice definitely. This here, lock graphic user interface. If you go on menu on Voicemeeter, go down to if you go on menu, there's the drop down. There's all sorts of stuff you can do: save settings, restart engine, go on your system settings. You can lock the graphics user interface, which basically means you click that, a little yellow padlock will come up, and it means that you, like, if you accidentally click on the window or scroll, then the mixing desk will just stay put, it won't move. This, I found, is very useful for Skyrim, because Skyrim has that weird, I can't play in Windows. I play in is it Windows? I think it's borderless I play in. So, because I've got dual monitors, if I'm like scrolling through the UI on Skyrim, randomly, like if I've got a window open on my other monitor, that'll just start scrolling, which is weird and annoying. So by locking the graphics user interface, you can prevent that from happening. Also very useful for me in particular when the boys are around and we're gaming. If he's just bored and clicking around stuff, prevents him from messing with stuff if I've just nipped out for a cigarette or something. Or, yeah, I'll come back and all the little A buttons are pressed and the volume's all messed up and wrong. I'm like, oh, man, come on. So just lock graphic user interface. Don't overdo the EQ on all the virtual inputs. So let me think. My PC, right? Let me think. Yeah, so I'll go up here. So I'm playing Skyrim, right? This EQ here, this is getting sent to B3, which is then going to here. Okay? I have got EQ on here. But ideally you don't want that. You don't want it all stacked high up on both, because it'll just be crazy bass, crazy treble, whatever. Might have to tweak that. One sec. PC outgoing B3 stream mix is going into virtual. Yeah. Okay. Might have to tweak the EQ on that. But you see what I mean? You don't want to stack the EQ. Here we go. Yeah, if you can't hear anything, say you come off, say you're in sleep mode and load it back up, and you can't hear anything, just restart the engine. Sometimes you might have to restart VBAN. if your network goes down or whatever, or just simply go on the selection for hardware output and just recheck it, like the headphones. Like if I just recheck the headphones, then it should be set. Sometimes if you are plugging in a new piece of equipment, like a new speakers, for example, or maybe even a webcam, Windows might just switch the main sound primary device to that. So another check to do is just right click on, hover over the little sounds icon at the bottom of your taskbar, bottom right, make sure that's your Voicemeeter input. Ethernet from VBAN is a must, gotta be done. Yes, restart engine solve a lot of audio missing for Voicemeeter. Also, it'll remove robotic audio. That'll sometimes come up with opening Studio One, that kind of thing. But if robotic audio, just simply restart the engine. Yeah, back to the system, back to the capture card, switching around, just to reiterate that. Sometimes you need to restart the system or the stream or OBS or whatever. So just plan your streams accordingly. But doing it from Elgato to my mirror box, that works fine. Bitfocus is amazing. So useful, free, can't go wrong. Once you've gone dual, there's no going back, mate. I can't. Even if I'm just doing the simplest things, first thing I'll do is just turn both systems on, load up Voicemeeter for both, and then see what I get up to. A lot of the time, I've got all my apps on my right screen, maybe a game of League or whatever, do some work or stuff on there, in the middle one, and then on the left I'll have like a stream going or a YouTube video or whatever, and that's on my laptop, which is being sent through to my headset. And then, yeah, it's just, I can't go without it now. Even at work, mate, I'm behind a desk, an IT technician. Like the guy who was before me, he had a Mac, so all the files and stuff is on there for organising I do a bit of music editing, and going to be doing some web design stuff as well. So a lot of the previous files and stuff like that is on the Mac. So I use that for that part of the job. But then they got me a new Windows PC because I'm better at Windows. I know Windows better. I prefer it as well. So they got me new Windows, and that's going to be for like my graphics design stuff. It's going to be for like my web design stuff. And I've just got them next to each other, and I've got Voicemeeter on my Windows. Unfortunately, Voicemeeter doesn't. I don't think you can get it from Mac, so I've just got like an auxiliary line-in cable connecting the PCs, and then I've got the line input going into my Voicemeeter. So that Voicemeeter just picks up both. And yeah, just do my own thing. And the great thing is, it's just, yeah, I just got my desk at work, got my 2 keyboards, my 2 PCs, 2 mice. Someone comes in and like, they're just thinking, what do you need that for? Oops. Can't go back from dual. Does, mate. And lastly, just have patience, you know. Hopefully this video will put you in the right direction for learning this, understanding it, and getting a grasp on Voicemeeter in particularly. But it's worth it in the end. It'll pay off. But just visualize it, and don't focus on the forums, Voicemeeter forums. They're not helpful at all for me. I don't understand the technical wording, and yeah, just point me how to do that and that, link that with that, and it's fine. So there you go. That's what I've done for you. I hope it helps. And if I've not covered something, or if I've covered something wrong, you know, hit me up with some feedback of how you would do it better. Sorry for rambling so much. I'm coming up to 2 hours. Bloody hell. I am going to, like I say, there'll be chapters. So yeah, just have fun with it. It's doable, you know. Integrating all of these things together, it is possible. It's just everyone's system and setup is different, so there's not one right answer, but this is the one that's worked for me. Hopefully it helps you in some way. Your setup is not that much different from mine. Maybe the guitar amp stuff is different. Not everyone has a line 6, not everyone plays guitar, so yeah, that'll be it for that. I am going to be doing a demonstration of just some tinkering bits showing around, but that is for the slideshow. That is it for the slideshow, and we'll be going on to the demo now. So